Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Grief Series 5. My name is Tara Nash, and today I am really delighted to be joined by Di Challenor, all the way from Australia. Welcome, Di. Di is a Challenor and a healer. So today we're going to talk about her work as a healer, but also her experience of grief, which is multifaceted, and you've experienced quite a lot of grief in your life up until now. So first of all, Di, maybe you could, tell us about some of the griefs that have occurred in your life, and then we'll go on to talk more about your work.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tara, so much for having me here. Pleasure to be here and share my information and gifts and talents with you and your audience. So you're right. I have experienced a lot of grief. It first started when I lost my mother when I was 14 and a half, and she was diagnosed when I was 11. So she had cancer. So it's breast cancer that ended up being bone cancer. So that was pretty traumatic. And funnily enough, around that time, I sort of half predicted her passing. Forgot to remind you this, 12 hours earlier, I was sent out babysitting. And that night when I was out at this person's house, the phone rang. And the first thing I thought, oh, it's Mum. What's happened to Mum? And roughly the same time, like it was about 8:15, 8:45 or something, the following morning, she passed. So she was at home and things like that. So I thought, okay, that was interesting. And then my father, he remarried when I was 16. And so it was like a blended family, 3 of them and 3 of us. And he had a sudden heart attack when I was in my final year of school. And that was about 17 and a half. So I'm a big believer of philosophy of Louise Hay, and she was saying that, heart attacks can be of a broken heart. So I really feel that he had a broken heart, missed my mum, and family friends said at the funeral that they could sense my mother was there and around him and for the funeral. So it's good that they were reunited, I feel, back then, and that's also been confirmed in the last 12 months when I've been doing healing work. And I was telling Tara that my grandmother ended up having to lay to rest all her 3 children at different times. One child was, I think, 12 when she passed away of some hepatitis or some disease back then. And her other daughter had cancer as well. And then my mum had the cancer. So she had the 3 daughters and she had to lay them to rest, which was pretty sad for my grandmother. And then back in 2009, my sister passed, and her anniversary is coming up around now. So she ended up having non-smoker's lung cancer. So that was diagnosed, and she was given sort of so many months to live, but she lived like 3 times as long. And I was doing a lot of healing work with her and unpacking some of her childhood stuff. So lungs is all about grief and the heart chakra. And I was sort of thinking, I thought she might have healed more of it, and she also came up when I was at my acupuncturist on Friday about I have to heal something about accepting her, and that I might not have accepted her illness and thought she had to learn lessons and things like that. So I made peace with her on the weekend, which is good. And I was working with a Reiki master at the time of her passing to help transition. And even the day, I didn't even realize it was the day, but I was guided to clean her aura and clean her energy, like use Reiki energy just to clear her and just do that because she's in a palliative care hospital. And I was staying with her at the time, like for about 3 or 4 nights prior, and I wasn't sure that this was going to be the day. Anyway, I went up to the shops and I said, I'll see you later. And I sort of thought to myself, should I give her a kiss goodbye? I thought, no, she'll be right when I get back to the hospital. Anyway, she'd started the funny breathing, and I said to the nurse, she's not breathing properly. And they said, that's a death rattle. And I didn't even realise that. So the process had started, and it was really it's quite traumatic watching that process happen, because it had also gone into some, and like something, like the cancer had gone to a secondary area and things like that. And just watching that process. So that was sort of more with my recent one. So I haven't had too many more since then, but they've been pretty prolific, anyway. So yes, that's
Very, very prolific, and it's lovely that we're talking about your sister so close to the anniversary of her passing. And the other grief that is even more recent, it has been the ending of a marriage.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tara. Yes, that was a very brief marriage, mind you. And I didn't marry young because Tara asked me to marry. And I thought no, because I think after losing my father, I had made some decisions that a man let me down, or I can't trust a man, or a man won't look after me. So I didn't really have great relationships because of that. And so this marriage, it was a short marriage, but I'd known the fellow, like it was a 10-year relationship. So, and it had been on and off, on and off. But I think being together, I don't know, like I could just see I was outgrowing him faster. Like to me, he was a few years younger than me, but his thinking was like an older man, like 20 years older sort of thing. And I was doing a lot of healing work and growing and evolving. And he wasn't. And he used alcohol, I think, to numb pain, because he also lost his mother while we were married. And yeah, while we were married, because that was a bit traumatic as well. She was sick, and then one of his, it was, the family were pretty upset about it and had a funny way of showing it. Like, and they sort of lashed out at me and my sister and stuff like that. So that's another part of grief that I've forgotten about. But yeah, that marriage was very short, but it also made me feel like I was a failure. So it wasn't only the loss of the marriage and that relationship, but also feeling, oh my God, I'm a failure at this. And how can I fix it up? But I've done a lot of work on myself since, and healed my heart, which is the main key to, I think, transformation and moving forward, but also having the awareness of what's happened, and even calling in ancestors, because then I found out during this last 12 months of healing in particular that a lot of ancestors in my family lineage have died, like they've been seen and heard, and then somehow they've passed. I don't know all the details, but there's been a lot of death in my lineage over generations. So yes, it's interesting that I've come here, and part of my healing or my talents is to channel information and be a medium and channel information from source, from angels. And that's what saved me at times when I've had to get inner strength and find out, my God, this is so hard. And particularly in the marriage, it was quite emotional, but also very controlling. And it was like mind games a lot. And I was running meditation classes to get myself into that practice of meditating and getting quiet and checking in with angels and cards and things like that. So I had to find strength from somewhere.
And you mentioned just now how your husband used alcohol, to soothe his pain, which is very common and very understandable. And you told me that when you were, a teenager, after your mum passed, that you really turned to food. And I know, again, that's something that a lot of people who are listening will relate to. So would you share a little bit about your relationship with food?
Yeah. Well, I remember after school, I had a friend at 2 houses away, and we would go to the fish and chip shop and have potato cakes or chips or whatever. And then I'd have to come home, and I was doing that because I felt this real emptiness in my stomach, and I wasn't sure. And it wasn't until years later that I realised it was the loss of my mum that made me feel empty. I just thought, teenager, empty stomach. So we'd go have potato cakes after school, and then I'd have to come home and pretend I hadn't eaten anything and eat my dinner. So, but I do consciously remember just filling in that void of losing my mum. And she was like, I was getting to know her as I suppose, as I was growing up, more like as a friend as well as a mum, and sharing, thoughts and ideas and things like that. So it was a pretty big loss. So then I did chub up a bit. And my stepmother then would drag me around to Weight Watchers classes, and I'd have to stand on the scales and did I go up or down or whatever. But also I was sort of berated and, oh, you can't eat that cake on a Saturday afternoon like everyone else because you're on a diet, or you can't eat this. And so I became a little sneak eater, and I'd be cutting off little slithers and probably having more than what I would if I just had a normal piece of the cake or whatever the bun was or anything like that. So, and I was also we were just talking about, I had an awareness about, I've always liked sweet things, and my sister and I would, go get coffee and cake and things like that. And the realization after working with an acupuncturist is that my spleen was out of balance, and spleen is all about sweetness of life. And so I've been filling up my void, my lack of sweetness with sweet foods and going for the sugary things, the cakes and the chocolates and things like that. So through working with understanding that and working with like an acupuncturist on a physical aspect, but also healing, I haven't got my sweet tooth, so it's not as bad. And then as in the last week, I had to do a course, and I had to be up at 4 a.m. for 2 mornings. So I felt a bit tired and a bit flat during the day. And I fessed up because I got for Christmas like a box of these Cadbury favourites. So I thought I'll just have a little, one of them. And then because they're so super sweet, I'll just have another one just to pep up my energy because I was feeling so tired. So I shared this info with the acupuncturist, and she said, you know that sweetness is dampness. Why did you just have the chocolate? Why don't you just feel what you're feeling, feel what was coming up, and not have the sweetness? I said, okay, I didn't know that, because part of my issues are to do with damp. There's an imbalance with dampness. So that's what she keeps working on. But I hadn't had that realization. I didn't realize that sugar is dampening the pain. And that's sort of the way she explained it to me. And I thought, I wasn't necessarily feeling pain, but I was just feeling flat and blah. So things must have come up and shifted when we did this healing work. But I hadn't thought about it like that. And I suppose also like alcohol's got sugar in it. Again, that could be no sweetness in life, because one of the ladies in the class is a diabetic. And again, we're talking about sweetness of life based on Louise Hay's philosophies, which I've been a big proponent of for many, many years, and helped me explain my parents' passings and their ailments or diseases, but massive with the sweetness. So now if I go into the cupboard, sometimes I'll just look in there and think, oh, do I want a sweet biscuit? Oh, I don't want this. And then I realize, what am I looking for? What emotion am I trying to fix? And then I think, okay, there's nothing in here. So I close the cupboard and either go and do something else. But also my acupuncturist remind me that if you need energy, jump around. So even on these earlier on in the week, I did get on my rebound. I thought, oh, just do 5 minutes, just jump gently. And I thought, that's not too bad. So then I thought, I'll just get on my exercise bike. And I think I might have done 5 minutes or something. And actually I did feel better. And another tip is to sniff peppermint essential oil if you're wanting a bit more energy, or, like a bit, need concentration. So I thought sometimes I do that, just sniff peppermint oil just to give myself a lift rather than going to the cupboard.
And I think that's such a helpful information. I think I'll be getting myself some peppermint oil for extra energy.
Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us a little more about your spiritual, connection. You said that Louise Hay was, Louise, sorry, my little dog's not very well. Louise Hay has been a real big inspiration for you, and you also work with energy and as a Reiki practitioner.
Yep. Well, Louise Hay helped me way back I don't know, whenever her book came out, and cassette tapes were the big thing then. And I also read her book, You Can Heal Your Life. I've also got a signed copy, which I'm proud about. And that really helped me sort of work through understanding the different stages of like of grief and pain and diseases and affirmations and things like that. So I also became a Louise Hay teacher, which I have never done, never rolled out her courses because you have to do it specifically to a script. So I loved her work because it really made sense. And even now, I will always look up if someone says they've got an ailment, or even myself, and just check, what does that mean? Issues with legs is about moving forward. So I have used her book for years and years, and I just swear by it. And listening to her work, because she had to heal herself, and talking about emotional imbalances in the body, if they're not dealt with, it does manifest in the physical body, and the physical body is the last part that it manifests. So it's obviously been lingering around for a long, long time until it gets into your body and it shows up as a cancer, as something wrong with your spleen or your heart or your legs or something. So I've made my mission, because my understanding with my parents, the lesson I learned is that was their journey. And so I was been on a mission ever since my 20s to help people heal themselves, or to address those emotional diseases or those imbalances, and to get onto that emotional aspect. And look, it's an ongoing process. I still do it all the time. As I said, I saw the acupuncturist on Friday, and I see her regularly. I see other healers, and I do the work. So it's really good to get someone to work with you and unpack what this disease is, what the emotional issues are, because sometimes you might think it's one thing, and then when you go through a process in a session or a few sessions, something else will come up. And, it's been really invaluable to connecting with the ancestors, connecting with my parents who have passed, and get answers, get closure, understand what happened. Because I was a child, like a teenager in both those situations. You just don't know. And you might overhear things even when you're younger with parents and talking, and you might misinterpret something and you think it's about you, and when it's really not, but you've still carried on a thought or a belief which will manifest if it's not dealt with in the physical body. So love Louise Hay and love her little book. And I've also got this other little baby book about Heal Your Body, and there's affirmations for just every part of your body, and to love your body and to love aspects of your body. And by working with healing your heart, it does have a ripple effect. The other parts of your body will be healed, but it just lightens the load. I know we all come here to this earth with a mission, a soul's journey, and I sort of didn't realise till late recently that my mission was I didn't really need my parents. I was here to do it on my own. I didn't realise I'd come down with that plan. I have had to do a lot of things on my own, but then I have sought out various people, and, I connect to my intuition a lot. Things will come across my Facebook page or, inbox, or I meet people, and it's all divinely guided, because I'll put out a request. Oh, I really want to do something. I really would love to be, like in a mastermind group. Well, that happened. I set it out in the garden, and 3 months later, an opportunity came to join one. So just be mindful of what you ask for. But once you do ask, the universe does hear you. And it is about healing whatever the trauma is that you've had. And it's better to heal it as soon as you are aware of it and nip it in the bud so it doesn't get worse, because the universe will give you gentle nudges. Something little might come. And if you're still ignoring it, you'll get the Mack truck that you've got a cancer, or you've got something, a really, disease that needs an operation or something like that. So it's really important to listen to nudges and guidance that you get, connect to your intuition, and just, listen. And that listening could be, you hear a music, a song, something in the song resonates with you. You might see numbers on the clock or number plates, or you might be in a bookshop and you're drawn to a book, or someone might be saying something in a conversation that you don't normally talk about. You think, it's interesting. I must have didn't know I was going to need to know about that. Even today when I've been talking with Tara, about the food and the sweetness and things like that, I wasn't thinking we'd be talking about that, but it's here to help. Like, there's so many tools and guidance, and I've always tuned in to cards, or I just tune in without the cards now. I don't need it because the messages will come up. And if you're worried about something, sometimes, like with my marriage, I did a tarot reading about February, March of that year, and by June, I'd got my answers. Someone rang up out of the blue, I call her a whistleblower, who confirmed that my husband was having an affair, and she said, and he's also painting me as being some awful wife or whatever. I thought, what? He took his wedding ring off. He's living like a dual life. She had a family with kids, so he's up there in country Victoria, 3 hours away from where I lived, and living a double life. And this person said, she said, well, I told them if they weren't going to tell you, I would. So she rang up and all these things happened. And it all started from January, like Australia Day weekend, which is end of January. And it happened, was going from then, and like funny things happened. So everything she confirmed, like things I thought, well, that's a bit strange, she confirmed what was going on. And he'd even go to the extent of hiring a car to drive up there and staying over and pretending that he was going to see if they had a child together, but he wouldn't get DNA tests. And I said, well, what child, a 2-year-old, who would be up at 9 p.m. at night? And it's like little things that were not adding up. And so this person explained everything. And then when I said that to him, he goes, oh, no remorse, no nothing. Well, you know what's going on. Because I just said, that's it, that's the end of the marriage. And then a few years later, like every time I was vulnerable in a low patch, he would come into my life. And that happened when my sister passed. Like, he obviously knew her, and I think he thought we're going to get back together. And anyway, I assumed that he would have gone, once it was out in the open about this marriage and the betrayal and everything, I thought he was going up to country Victoria to play happy families and live happily ever after with her. So a few years later, I heard when we met up, he said, oh, no, she made all these unreasonable demands within a month of you knowing. And no, I didn't want to be a part of that. And I thought, wow. So, and I know he was trying to hurt me and get back at me and things like that. So I thought, it's amazing. You just have to trust that information comes up. And I always just believe you'll get the answers in the end. The truth always comes out in the wash eventually. So I had to wait from, sort of February, March to June to get my answers. And I just kept putting it out there to the universe, show me a sign, show me signs, or take care of me and things like that. So, it's amazing what happens. So I feel now that's all been part of my gift, because as it was pointed out, my surname is like channeler. And so channeling information. So by doing Reiki and theta healing and a mediumship course, I've honed in my channeling skills. And I work with source as well as angels, but more these days I work more with source. So just do what you have to do. And if you've got something that's annoying, and even if you get angry, like I've healed anger because I got frustrated with my old computer, and even that can have a little negative charge on you. So that will come out in your body as well. Like even driving in the car, sometimes I'm a bit of an angry driver. But the little things like that, we've got to be mindful and careful that it doesn't, you stuff it down and think, oh, yeah, that idiot driver or whatever. I think, oh, stuff it down, it happens again. So things will just keep getting stuffed down into your body, because your body has cellular memory and it remembers everything. So even if you can't, your body will. And I've also been dropping dress sizes because, one, I just eat regularly, but because I've been healing the trauma and processing the trauma and healing it at a cellular level, it's been released in my body naturally. So it's taking a while, but look, I'm happy for it, because every time I try and put on clothes. Oh, that's a bit looser. Oh, that's good. So I have dropped a couple of dress sizes, which is good. And it will take as long as it takes, because I set an intention a few years ago to be my natural body weight, shape and size. So it's coming off as fast as it can come off, really. And without going, I'm not doing any crazy diet. I have food that is prepared because I don't have time to cook. But I'm also, being mindful, like we've been talking about, why do I want this sweet thing or that chocolate or something or that biscuit? So just having that awareness and not buying the stuff as well. And by healing, I'm not having those cravings. Whereas today, I think did a healing this morning. Something my cravings been for white bread. So I had to go get a baguette and I had cheese sandwich. So I don't know because Doreen Virtue, there's another book written by Doreen Virtue which talks about cravings and talks about this, and it gives you a whole list of what the different foods mean. So I might look that up. So it could be some sort of comfort that I wanted in the white bread or the crusty baguette.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I haven't heard about that book before.
Constant cravings.
I think our body shape, size is way more complex than, people think it's all just exercise and food, but I do think there are layers of protection that come onto us and all sorts of different reasons. And I like what you shared about, that feeling of real emptiness. And of course, some people have problems eating at all. And they're on the other side of food, where they just have no appetite in their grief and feel very nauseous and find it hard to eat anything. But the self-care is so important while we grieve. And I think that our grief can make us feel so alone.
Yeah.
And the work that you've come into being through your grief is around connection to source. Your life journey, your soul journey has connected you to the higher planes. And you talk about, connecting and with consulting your angels, for example. I don't know whether now you could maybe do sort of a little healing for people who are listening.
Yeah. Yes. We've talked about it. Let's do that. So, I'll just put my phone back too. So I have been doing, since I'm attuned to the angelic Reiki energy, like I've spoken about, and it's very powerful. So it's a distant healing. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a distant healing for you. And because you've got your puppy or dog, we'll probably get some of the healing as well. So what I'll do with everyone watching is I'll guide you through doing some breathing, and then I'll be silent and I'll either have my eyes open or closed, just depending. And I'll be sending healing energy to everyone who's watching this recording. And the energy, I just want you to be aware that energy will go to where it needs to go. So you might think you've got a cough, but it might go down to your right foot because there's something imbalanced there. So don't worry about it. Just make sure you have water. Make sure you have minerals if you have magnesium, potassium, zinc. Just have minerals that can help with this process, because I don't know where it's going to go. I know you'll receive it because I get positive feedback all the time. If you feel tired afterwards, lie down and have a nap. If insights come, you can even ask your own angels and spirit guides, what messages have you got for me? Just take this energy and do what you will with it. Don't question it, just go with the flow. And if you buy replays, you'll be able to keep playing it and just keep using the powerful energy that it is. So it's all coming from source, and I just activate it and make it a bit strong. And then I'll guide you after 3 minutes of my silence. I'll guide you back into the space. So it shouldn't take that long, but make sure you're comfortable. Do not do it while you're driving. If you're driving, pull over or listen to it when you get home. So just need to be in a safe space where you won't be interrupted for a few minutes. So let's go. So close your eyes, and I want you to breathe in through the nose, and on the out breath, just release any tightness or tension. Have another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and again, release any tightness or tension you may be feeling. And have another third deep breath in through the nose, and just breathe out slowly through the mouth, and just know that you're supported. Release any tightness or tension. There's nothing you need to do, and you're in the right place. You're supported and guided. So I will just be quiet now and just send you that healing energy. Okay, so now have a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and start to wiggle your fingers. Have another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Move your toes, stretch your arms and legs. And have another deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And hear the sounds around you in the room. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and come back to the call. So, Tara, how was that? Your puppy, I think, got it, because at one point it looked like he was smiling.
Yeah, he was panting and then he wanted to get down. So hopefully he's going to feel a bit better. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's his hips or something like that. Yeah.
I'm sure he would have felt better and got what he, or got, it might have just been enough to ease his pain or discomfort.
Yeah. And for the people who are watching, I hope that was also a good experience for you, wherever you are.
Yeah. Did you feel it yourself, Tara?
I think I felt something. Yeah. I mean, I was obviously a little bit, distracted by him because of him moving around. Bless him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was feeling hot, and I put my hand on my heart, and I even had my other hand up just to put the energy there because I was feeling hot. So it was definitely, I was on and it was working. So I hope everyone got what they needed. So don't overthink it. Just enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe you could just actually wrap up by explaining just how you work with people, because obviously that's a sort of long distance Reiki, but also about the other modalities that you can facilitate.
Oh, thanks, Tara. Happy to tell you. I do a combination of healing and do breakthrough sessions with timeline therapy, which can help people heal really quickly on major emotions like hurt, sadness, fear, guilt, and anger. Not in that order, but it's really powerful work. And it also just brings past life work in, previous life, generational stuff, even from when you're 0 to 7. But the beautiful part of it is you get all the lessons and the learnings from those experiences. You don't have to relive the trauma and bring the lessons and learnings for your future self. So that is really powerful. And healing all sorts of emotional imbalances, healing the grief. I love working with people, and I do work, with people around the world, globally, because as you would have all felt, the energy does go through, and just helping people have clarity through healing and coaching and channeling information. Sometimes, I'm not questioning it, because sometimes I'll say, I'm getting this. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to you. Oh, yeah, that was, it makes sense. So I'm here of service to help people heal their grief or heal any other emotional imbalances. So get onto it before it manifests into the physical or manifests into something really big. And it's really important to work with a coach or a healer of some description. So whoever you resonate with, just get on the phone or get, email and just get working with someone. And it's an ongoing process, because I've been working on myself. I keep thinking, I'll get there, and then something else will pop up. So I have various healers myself, and I've been doing it for more than 20 years. And my philosophy is that you just keep on going, because we're big onions, there's layers and just keep going deeper and deeper. And maybe the day before I die will be the day I finish the healing. It's ongoing, and it's fascinating what does come up. And just take care of yourself. We're also moving into the age of Aquarius, which is heart-based energy and collaboration and working with each other. Like what Tara's doing is fabulous. What you're doing, hosting your summits, that all the different speakers, we're all here helping. We've just got a different angle, and hopefully you'll resonate with one or two of us and take some action, because my tagline is abundance loves action. So take action.
Yes, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly.
And if people want to stay in touch with you, or you want to just tell them about your free gift to end.
Yes, my free gift you'll love. It is a guided meditation, and it's all about just letting you know that you are supported and you're loved, and there's guidance, and you've got the answers. And I have channeled the information from source, and that's my free gift to you. So enjoy and listen, and take action.
And we'll have a link to that under here. And actually, I forgot to ask, because I like to ask people at the end of the interview, what's your interpretation of the term conscious grief?
Good question, Tara. It's about being aware of the grief and not sort of stuffing it down, which I admit, when my parents passed, we weren't big on counselling or anything like that. Basically, it happened in the school holidays, and then we just went back to school as usual and just felt awkward because people had all heard that my mother or my father had passed during that school holiday break. So it's being aware and to take action. So I have had, other people I've worked with over the years, and even in my 20s, sort of getting professional help, with eating as well. But it's about being aware and taking care of yourself. So being conscious of the grief, it's happened. And look, it's probably, you know, part of your journey. Like, I wasn't aware that my journey had so many deaths and grief throughout the whole lineage and the ancestors until unpacking it on a deeper level. So it's here to help you to have the lessons that your soul needs for you to keep moving forward and keep evolving. And it's all about healing the heart, and we all have different ways that we need to do it. But to me, that's the end of the, you know, what it's all about. The journey is to heal your heart and have an open heart. And sometimes grief and loss is what we need to experience to sort of be pushed, nudged to work on those aspects of ourselves. Because sometimes you just get busy with life. So be aware of it. And grief can also be losses of jobs, as well as marriages, like Tara reminded me that it's grief can be all sorts of things. It could be loss of an opportunity or something that you're really, you know, putting all your heart and soul into, and you know, it's a loss, it's a disappointment. So just be aware of that and work on it when it's in those little baby, when it's really fresh and raw. So then it doesn't get stuffed down, because as I said earlier, the body has its own memory. Each cell has its memory. So there's memories in your body. So just work on it so you can create good memories, happy memories.
Very wise words. Well, thank you so much, Di. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you today and sharing your work. So thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Tara. I've enjoyed it, and I really trust and hope that someone watching will get some value and take action. And even if it's just being mindful when you go into the pantry, what am I looking for?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much, and goodbye.
Bye.